Retro never really dies, it just respawns on better hardware. So today, we're looking at 10 modern retro Switch games you absolutely need to play. These are the ones that capture that old school magic, but you've probably never played them. These are the titles that bring back tight controls, chunky pixels, and simple ideas, but they rebuild them with modern design, technical polish, and creativity that would have just blown your mind back in the day. Now, if you do enjoy these kinds of roundups, do me a favor and hit subscribe. It helps a huge amount. And if you do want to go deeper, I've reviewed all 10 of these games on the channel. You'll find those videos linked below. Let's start with Lunistice. This one feels like it was ripped straight from the Sega Saturn era. It's a low-poly 3D platformer that could easily sit alongside Nights into Dreams or Clockwork Knight. It is simple, it's cheerful, and it's laser-focused on flow. There's no filler here, just movement that feels buttery smooth, tight controls, and a level design that always teases you into trying again. It's really built for speedrunners. Each world then introduces new mechanics and visuals without overstaying its welcome. And when you do start chaining jumps, spins, and collectibles together, it's almost meditative. Now, it is short, you can finish it in an afternoon, but I think that's the point. It's a type of game that reminds you just how much can be done with small, focused ideas. Next is Vengeful Guardian Moonrider. This comes from Joy Masher. That's the same team behind Blazing Chrome. And yeah, these developers basically just live in the 16-bit era, and I mean that as the highest compliment. Moonrider, though, plays like a mashup of experiences like Shinobi, Strider. Basically, it's a tight, side-scrolling action platformer where you are a rogue cyber soldier carving through a military dictatorship with nothing but a sword and a grudge. And yes, it is glorious. Now, the parry system here, simple, but so satisfying once you get it down, and each level layers in new challenges and mechanics to keep you sharp. Every hit here, every explosion, every dash just feels deliberate. It's that kind of tight, confident design that you honestly rarely see now. Then it all comes together beautifully thanks to a soundtrack that just honestly rips, pure arcade adrenaline, and sprite work that is genuinely some of the best in the genre. So yeah, it's one of those rare games that I think makes nostalgia feel earned rather than borrowed. So come here to die a lot, but I promise you, you'll come back swinging. Turbo Kid is a new one and I love it. It's based on an incredible cult movie from 2015 that most people have never even heard of, let alone seen, but it absolutely nails the retro feel. That's both visually and tonally. So imagine here Mad Max, except everyone's riding BMXs, and this world it runs on Synthwave as well as buckets of blood. You're going to be scavenging though through a post-apocalyptic wasteland in what is a pixel art Metroidvania, and you'll go take on raiders with makeshift gadgets and attitude. That said, somehow, this game, and the movie in fact, manages to be gory, funny, and weirdly wholesome at the same time. There's just this surprising warmth that cuts through all of the chaos, little story beats and character moments that feel genuine. It really is like the developers weren't just trying to make something retro, they were paying tribute to a type of game and movie that honestly barely exists anymore. It is a love letter to VHS era pulp, not a parody of it. And I think that's what makes it special. It feels nostalgic, but never cynical. And I really do think that's a hard balance to pull off. Then we have Iron Meat. This might be the loudest, bloodiest, and most unapologetic run and gun on the Switch. If Contra and Doom had a baby, this would be it. And that baby would be screaming at you while everything around you explodes. It is fast, it's mean, and it's full of set pieces that just feel impossible until they're not. Every stage feels handcrafted for chaos, with huge boss fights, tons of movement, and music that just makes your controller feel like it's vibrating in sympathy. But it's also surprisingly fair. You learn, you adapt, and when you finally beat a boss, it feels incredible. It's chaos with structure, and that's what the best old school shooters always had. And on Switch, it runs flawlessly. So if you just want all-out action, this is the one. Steel Assault then is an action run and gun experience, but wow, does it make an impression. It's pure 90s arcade energy. You know, a short but incredible experience built around a whip, a grappling hook, and total chaos. Expect to sit through industrial skylines, storm enemy bases, and fight bosses that fill the screen with explosions. It is beautifully animated, every frame just oozing style. And yeah, there's not a wasted second either. It just feels like a game that knows exactly what it is, and it refuses to pad itself out with any fluff at all. Play it on hard mode, beat it, then play it again faster. That was my experience. That's kind of the loop. It's that perfect one-sitting game, and that is, yeah, it's rare these days. My only complaint with this one is I really do wish it had co-op. Now, New Star GP, and this may surprise some on the list, but look, it's a racing game that looks like virtual racing, so you cannot complain. It's just basically that game with a glossy, modern remake. Yeah, it's got that colourful arcade flair, the snappy driving, and the immediate pick-up and play appeal. But actually underneath that simplicity is a really smart career mode. So expect there to be managing a team, dealing with sponsors, tweaking your setup, but still, somehow, it keeps every race feeling breezy. It's modern retro, in my opinion, in the truest sense. It takes something that felt perfect 30 years ago, but rebuilds it for right now, and 9 times out of 10 what that means really is more content, at least for this genre, racing. It just makes sense. And overall, like, the handling's tight, the music's really catchy, and it just feels good. Every time I play, I'm losing an hour without even noticing. Fear the Spotlight flips the energy entirely. It's slow, quiet, and unsettling. Now, this comes from Blumhouse Games of Blumhouse horror movies, so it's a very big studio backing it. But what you'll get in the experience is a lo-fi horror, and it's really built to look like a lost PS1 game. Think though Silent Hill meets Clock Tower, and you're somewhere in that vicinity. But here you'll be playing as 2 teenagers sneaking into their school after hours, and look, they're there to mess around with a Ouija board. Things, of course, go wrong, and yeah, all hell breaks loose. There's no combat, just puzzles, stealth, and this atmosphere that lingers. So yeah, with this one, I'd go in saying it's not about jump scares, it's about dread. The lighting, the sound design, the grain. It's very deliberate but beautifully done. And it is a short game, about 3-4 hours. But for anyone who appreciates the era of PS1 horror, this will just, it feels like home. Okay, so for something a little bit more reflective now, Primordia, it takes us way back to the point and click era, and it does it justice. Now, it's set in a post-human world where robots have inherited the ruins of Earth. You play as Horatio, a robot trying to fix his ship and uncover what really happened to humanity. The pixel art is stunning, but it's the writing that carries it. It's philosophical, and it's quietly almost funny at points in that old LucasArts way. Every line, though, feels intentional. Every puzzle feels fair, and the story builds to a genuinely impressive finale. It's the kind of game that won't rush you. It asks you to kind of sit with it, but that's what I think makes this genre timeless. It's not for everyone, but if you are a fan, check this out. Berserk Boy then slaps the pace right back up. This one is pure energy. It's fast, colourful, and completely obsessed with style. Now, it's a 2D action platformer. It takes inspiration very clearly from Mega Man, but it pushes the movement further with transformation powers that completely change how you play. Now, you can zip through levels at lightning speed, punch through obstacles, and chain combos that make you feel unstoppable. The soundtrack then by Sonic Mania's composer is an absolute banger, full of like incredible synths and rhythm. It just perfectly fits that chaos on screen. And yeah, it's just one of those games that's impossible not to smile through. You know, every jump, every hit, every boss, it feels right and it feels deserved. And finally, Dusk. And this is another game just proving retro FPS is alive and kicking. And if anything, it's still the king. This isn't a throwback for nostalgia's sake. It is a love letter to Quake and Doom, and it understands what made those games so timeless: speed, freedom, atmosphere. The visuals are chunky, low poly, drenched in grime, but it's the pacing that really makes this brilliant. It just never stops moving. It is fast, brutal, it's filled with tiny design choices that modern shooters have, forgotten. Secrets, shortcuts, just the joy of movement itself. And the horror then, it's subtle but effective. Every corner, every echo, every flicker of light, it makes you question what's around that next corner. Good thing is, you have a shotgun in hand, you're going to blow them away anyway. This one though, honestly, I think it's a masterclass in how you make something old feel new again. So those are 10 modern retro Switch games, or retro-inspired, I guess is the easier way to say it, but YouTube apparently doesn't like that term. But yeah, you absolutely need to play them. They are proof that retro doesn't mean outdated, it just means focused. These games take the best of what came before, and it reminds us why we fell in love with gaming in the first place. Now, I've linked full reviews for all 10 games in the description below, so if any of these caught your eye, you can check out my deep dives there. Maybe watch one of those next. If you did enjoy the video again though, hit like and subscribe. It helps out the channel a huge amount, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers all.